no matter how much savings they have, they feel like their goals or their property, a lot of the times it's property goals, right? Property's out of reach.
Yeah, so I think with the borrowing capacity, I think people need to understand at the moment, even the government Senate committee is actually looking at how borrowing capacity and how stringent or strict the lending regulations are that's pricing people out of the market.
People need to be very conscious of why they're making those decisions to spend.
So we missed all this flow that we're having. Like, I fucked it. Because I like to have the flow that leads into the...
Yeah. It's recording like boom.
Boom, boom.
But we're back for property now. I'm Michael Carboni. I feel like I'm changing seats every day to accommodate for
musical
our
chairs.
ever-changing guests. They're all familiar faces.
Mate, are you
though.
changing closer to the door?
Closer to the door. I'm on my way out.
I think you start here, you just rotate around,
Imagine I wasn't
and then
here.
you'll be outside.
Imagine how unfunny and boring this would be without
yeah,
me.
true.
No?
Yeah, would not
Silence,
be a show
crickets,
without
whatever.
you. I agree.
It wouldn't be a show. Thanks, Sav. That's why we invited Sav back, the customer champion of Coposit. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
Fantastic. He-Man, the sexiest voice in property
Oh,
podcasting.
just happy to be here, man.
You are every week happy to be here.
I am very happy
You're
to
like
be
the
here.
one
Grateful.
constant. There's
Mate.
probably myself. Every now and then it's like last week we had myself and Alex Minter. You know, we had to Jace, come on.
Yeah, look, you never know. You're just one episode away from not being here.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm
you
just
got to
happy
be
to be
grateful
here
every time.
I'm here.
Everyone comes back though. For example, PJ is back.
Yes.
Yeah, I
PJ
didn't think I would get an invite after
Yeah.
last one. but
To
this
be
is
fair,
good.
I don't know. I hope Tom's not listening.
Tom's never coming back.
Oh.
If he
Tom
hears,
was fun.
you know what? If
Come
he
on.
hears this and he hears me say that and he confronts me about
Yeah,
it, I'll bring him back.
Then he's back.
Yeah.
This is proof that he's listening.
yeah,
But
100%.
Tom,
He won't listen.
mate, it's terrible. He won't listen, he won't watch, won't anything. PJ's technically here every week. You're the man behind the camera. You're the producer of Property Now. You're also the producer of Coposit Street, world famous Coposit Street now. If you're not following on TikTok, on
You're
Instagram,
the
Man, it's
backbone
hard
of this
not to
on
follow.
company.
Xiaohong
Really?
Shu, it's on
Like,
Xiaohong Shu.
back.
All
Keep
I
us
hear in
going.
my sleep
The little red book.
is how old are you?
And how much do you have in
Oh,
savings?
man, that's all I hear.
So
Oh,
PJ's here to talk a little bit about that. You know, the topic is going to be very Coposit Street based today. We're talking about basically, is the lipstick effect hindering our savings? So what does that mean, the lipstick effect? It's basically the small spending habits that are stopping us from potentially achieving goals like buying a home. So what's stopping people? And I find this very interesting. So some research that we looked at this week from finder.com.au, 50% of purchases are impulse buyers, right? This is, on average, Aussies
Wow.
spend about $44 a week on impulse buys. So not part of your budget, not part of your spending. So that's like clothes, coffee, takeaway food. Jace, we bought coffees this morning. Dining out.
But that's a
all
habit,
that sort
not
of
an
stuff.
impulse.
Yeah.
Depends, right? It was an impulse.
That's an impulsive habit.
The habit was me buying myself the coffee.
Yeah.
The impulse was
Yeah.
buying your coffee as well. 'cause
That's
you're
right.
standing behind
That's
me.
right.
Terrible.
But I didn't pay for my coffee this morning, so I'm on my way to
Well done.
having a deposit.
How is the Ferrari? How is the Ferrari? Good.
It's a work in progress.
$5 closer.
Yeah.
Gen Z's. So on average, Aussie spend $44. Gen Z spends $74 a week on impulse buys. I have some theories about this. Right. Rebecca Pike from Finder, she calls this the lipstick effect, which is why I mentioned at the start.
Oh
Sav.
my goodness.
Small
So
items
is
like
it women?
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's a bit
guess
sexist.
it is a bit.
Yes.
But look, Rebecca Pike. I'm
Could be
assuming
called the Red Bull effect for tradies.
it's the Red Bull effect.
Right.
Well, that's a habit as well. That's an addiction with the tradies. Shout out to all the tradies who watched us a couple of weeks ago
Oh,
on that tradie
yes.
episode. That blew
Yes.
up. But basically, the lipstick effect is small items like snacks, drinks, and I assume lipstick that can offer temporary emotional relief. Right? So you think, oh, I can't save. Times are tough. But why don't I just buy this little
Lipstick.
Kit Kat? But the lipstick makes you feel better because you. But
Yeah,
look,
true,
you can't go
yeah.
get your hair done, your makeup
Yeah,
done, your nails
yeah.
done, but you buy a little bit of
Oh,
lipstick, you
lipstick.
feel better.
Is that
Honestly,
true?
I mean, a lipstick can be more expensive than a haircut these days.
Lipstick can be more. Stop the show. New topic. What?
Yes, well, it depends on what brand you buy, of course. I mean, yes. Those are not impulse buys, by the way. Those
Yeah,
are
wow.
safe
That's
buys.
that's a line item in your budget.
Yeah, yes.
Electricity,
Yes.
groceries,
Yeah.
lipstick.
Yes.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. The $5 lipstick, I'm assuming you buy it, you feel a little bit better.
Yes.
You're not saving. You're
Yeah.
not saving that $5. So what this means, I guess this temporary emotional relief, what Rebecca Pike is saying, it leads to financial problems, especially if you're living beyond your means. So if you're struggling to save, you buy that little lipstick or that little Kit Kat chunky just to feel a little bit better. That $5 is not making a massive impact, but over time, does it make any massive impact, Jason?
It's mentality.
Man,
hey?
look, I don't know, man. Personally, I think, things like buying a drink, a little snack, a lipstick here and there, or whatever it is, I don't think it makes that big of a financial impact because people will be sitting on, let's say, their car insurance premium they haven't reviewed for 7-8 years. It's going up every year, but they're too lazy or don't have the time or making the time to actually check that out. Their phone bills, their utilities, or even the interest rate on their home loan. Stuff like that saves you thousands of dollars.
Over how long?
So it's like
right?
a big
per year,
saving.
for example, right?
Yeah, well, but
or
hey,
hundreds of
hold
dollars
on.
per year.
$44 a week.
Yeah.
Say that, round it up to 50. It's two and a half grand.
Yeah,
a
but
year.
what I mean is probably look at the bigger items first,
Yeah.
right, before giving up that coffee, right? Yeah, look, it's great. Look at the big items. Also assess whether these little items and small transactions and impulse buys are, going to affect your ability to save or get to your financial goal. But I don't think the focus should be, if you cut out this snack, if you stop buying a coffee, it's going to create such an impact.
Definitely look at the big items. So our family healthcare,
Yeah.
we're spending about $450 a month.
Yeah.
Because we had family planning cover.
Yeah.
We just had our final baby, I'm going to say. Ready to snip, guys.
You didn't know
because-
that.
No. Well, look,
You don't know that yet.
don't know that yet. I hope so because I changed my health cover to exclude the family stuff. I'm saving $200 a month, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yes.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Right. So
Those are bigger.
So I can
Right
make
there.
$50 a week of impulse buys now
Right
because
there.
I'm saving.
or for people looking at,
Love that.
really
That's-
studying the health cover.
Yeah.
Right. Like people paying for it, but not really knowing all the benefits that they can actually get out of it.
Yeah.
Right. But knowing that, I'm buying health cover because I don't want to pay the Medicare surcharge levy.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do. Or is that provider the best provider for you? Do you review that? Your premiums are going up every year. Are you using it? Should you downgrade? Should you upgrade? Stuff like that.
I suppose if you're already doing that, I do think with the coffees that I've made a decision not to buy any more coffees because.
And how is your
honestly,
Ferrari going?
Well, it's getting there. I'm driving electric. It's not saving me money.
You're saving on the petrol too.
Yeah.
So how is that? How long have you been not buying coffees for?
Not for that long. I have to say, it's probably been about 2 months.
2 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So were you
so-
buying one coffee a day?
Yeah.
Let's say that's
yeah.
$5
Yeah,
over 2
exactly.
months.
With the soy,
There's hundreds of
becomes
dollars there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Over time. But I feel like it's a mentality. Like what you're saying, I agree with the big expenses and I do review that already. But then, okay, where else can I save? It's those buys.
Are you mentally are you putting that money aside? Are you,
No,
or
I'm
is
probably
it just
spending it on
extra
something
money
else.
that you have in the account that you?
Yeah, no, definitely over time. I still, it's as I said, I feel like for me, it's more of a mentality trying to change that and trying to justify smaller spendings because I feel like once you get into the mentality of wanting to save, it makes it easier to save.
I agree. Mentality is a big thing. Jason and I, we
Yeah.
spoke about this a few weeks ago, right? Where if you don't buy your coffee, if you go, hey, that $5, I'm going to put it in a little investment account or a little savings account. And then eventually it's going to build up. It's not going to be astronomical, but it's the habit of saving that you're
Yes.
forming. I really believe
That's
that
right.
during tough times, if you form good habits, then
Yes.
during good times, that can sort of escalate for you, right? Things get easier. You got more cash flow. Interest rates might go, whatever. Say interest rates go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Whatever cost of living,
Yeah.
evens out. Inflation, goes back to the 2-3%. All of a sudden, those good habits that you form during a bad time make it easier during a better time. But I think the what gets me at the moment is, again, it's media and it's brands. And I want to talk to PJ about this, right? Because we're the marketing team or part of the marketing team here at Composite.
Yes.
But I think media and brands have a big role to play because we know times are tough. Everyone's doing it tough. And the media keeps telling us how tough times are. So instead of going, hey, this $5, is it really going to help me is this really going to help me save? Or should I just get this coffee? Should I get this boost bar because I'm going to feel good for a second? Even though, again, according to Rebecca Pike at Finder, 28% of people regret their impulse buys, which doesn't sound huge, but I think it's a big number. But Paige, you were at a TikTok event recently. Actually, you were there as well, Jace, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jace was actually invited to it. We kind of just tagged along.
Yeah. And the guy with like 70k followers on Composite
It was an
Street
impulse.
tagged along.
Look,
Like the sexiest
it
voice
was
in
a pity
podcasting,
invite. They
invitation.
know I need help.
Yeah.
All right? They know he doesn't need help.
Like, which businesses can we exploit?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm the
Toledo.
target audience.
Let's get
Who's more
Toledo.
likely to spend money on the TikTok platform? This bloke who's struggling to get followers.
Done. Yeah, exactly, PJ. You're right, man. But what did we learn? What did you learn from that event?
Yeah, so when we sat down, they had this whole presentation where they're talking about how they're fully aware of cost of living crisis, right? They know that people are struggling, but it was funny how they're sitting there and they're encouraging everyone or giving them insight on how they can still make people spend money even though they're struggling. It was like how to keep people spending during a cost of living crisis, which, look, they're talking to businesses, right? So businesses have to make money. Like, I'm not saying that that's an issue, but I think it just shows that they're actively trying to keep people spending as much as possible. People need to be very conscious of why they're making those decisions to spend.
What were some
So-
of the tactics and tricks, Peach? Can you remember any of them?
The big thing they were talking about was just really good creative.
Oh.
So yeah, just good content that keeps people watching. And also too, TikTok now has the store feature, so it's very easy to buy in app.
Well, again, according to Finder, 40% of Aussies make their impulse buys based on what they see online. So it's a big tactic, right?
40%.
Well, are you ever scrolling, Sav, and you see something that you didn't plan to buy or need, and you buy it?
True. Yes. Yeah, definitely. But I do take time to actually purchase. Like, I have it in my cart for a long time before I actually decide to purchase.
You got some good strategies, right? So this is how, like, you kind of your mindset frames you for saving,
Yes.
right? So you will search. I don't know. I'm always sitting next to my wife, and she's like searching like cloves, and it's like, oh, are you looking for something? She's like, no.
Don't need it.
It's like, oh, please don't do this.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
please do, like,
You're
just watch
digging
this
a hole
show
for
with me.
yourself.
Just watch this show with me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just let's talk about stuff.
No,
about
it's
life.
like delayed gratification. And I think maybe I've reviewed my own spending and like how I treat money because of my daughter. And I can see that there's certain things that she's starting to adapt from me, take
that's
over from me
Like what,
in a
for
negative
example?
way
Like
as
what?
well.
Like what?
I don't know. When I go to the shop and I find something that I probably don't need, I purchase it.
Yep.
When we go shopping, she will find something that she doesn't need. But probably because I do it, I'm like, oh, well,
That's
I
where
can't
online
really blame.
shopping is good for your groceries.
Yes.
Because you see how much you're spending.
Yes.
And if you sort of hit a budget, you can take the item.
Yes.
Do I really need
Yes.
that 1 kilo Cadbury block? Nah, we won't have that this week. You know what I mean? You
Yes,
can do
yes,
that. Whereas if
yes.
you're going down the aisle,
Yes.
there should be some. Oh, this Woolies and Coles would never do this because
Yeah.
it would hurt them actually. But imagine like you're going down the aisle, and as you put things in your trolley, like there's a little ticker that goes, oh yep, now there's $80 worth of stuff, $86 worth of stuff.
But you know what? There's actually grocery stores where you can now self-scan.
Yeah, I
so
think
you
Woolies
scan
is
it.
doing that now.
Yes.
The,
Oh, so
the
they are doing
trolley,
it.
Yes,
as
they
you
are
put stuff
doing
in
that,
the
so you
trolley,
know how much
Yeah.
you're
That's
spending.
mad. I
Yes.
like that because then
Yes.
it's like, yeah,
Woolies got our back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Woolies. Thanks,
If you wanna
Woolies.
sponsor.
I don't know about that. Thanks, Woolies and Coles. We love
Yes.
them, don't we?
That's right.
Do
That's
we?
right. They've been investigated, but yes, we
Yeah,
love
they're
them.
being. Yeah. How is the investigation?
Yeah.
Anyway. IGA guys, independent growth. Anyway, whatever. That's cool. So I like that. I've heard the strategy of like when you see something, you give yourself like a buffer before you purchase. So it's like,
Yes.
okay, I wait 24 hours, and if I still want to buy that dress or those shoes or that $60 lipstick, if I
Something I
still
don't
really
need.
want it or
Yes.
need it,
Yeah.
I'll buy it after 24 hours. But
Yeah.
often what happens after 24 hours is the impulse isn't there anymore. And how
Yeah,
often
that's
do you
right.
not buy
No,
it?
absolutely, definitely, it definitely works. I think the 24 hours or even longer. Like, wait until something's on special or discounted. That's
Do you have any
another
other-
thing that
Do you have any other tips like that you like?
cash rewards.
Cash rewards.
Shop back. Yes, I don't purchase online unless I look. Is there a saving to be had there?
Hold on. So what is it? Explain.
Okay, so with shop back and cash rewards, they basically offer you additional discounts. So if you purchase something, you get a cash reward back on the purchase. So you're instantly making savings, and you build that up, and then can take the money out of your account.
You can take cash.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
like a rebate. So
Yes.
if you go
Yeah,
to
it's a
the cash
rebate.
reward website, then you go to add it as.
Is that
Yes.
cash rewards? That's
Yes.
the name
yeah,
of it.
Yes.
yeah. So
And
it's
shop
like
back.
affiliate marketing, right?
Yeah.
So they're bringing customers
Oh no,
to
hold
the
on, I've heard of
website.
this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the brands that pay.
Yeah.
They give
Yes.
cash rewards
That's
a little
right.
bit of a
That's right.
a
So you
cut,
get 3%
and then
cash
cash
back,
rewards give.
Yeah.
So,
for example.
but the brand might pay cash rewards 10%.
Correct.
And then
correct.
cash rewards
exactly
give you
right.
3%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you did that,
Okay, I feel like
yeah.
everyone kind of wins in that scenario. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
But,
it's pretty good.
good.
It's
but aren't
pretty
you
good.
buying more
Yeah.
things? Aren't you then trying to build up your cash rewards?
Not
Look.
necessarily, because she'll just whatever she needs, she'll then just go check cash rewards rather than go to the Adidas
Yeah.
website directly.
Like Specsavers, for example, any
There's no
contact
difference.
lenses
Yeah.
and
We're just
halves
name
check.
dropping all these brands. Woolly, Specsavers.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
but
talking about
but on that
spending.
point, I think it's really interesting
Yeah.
because there's a lot of savvy tools out there now,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're doing online shopping. For example, I buy a lot on Amazon, and there's a website called Camel,
Yep.
and you can see the price history. So if I look at this item, it's now $300.
Yep.
I can see, is that an actual good deal? By plugging that link into the website, and it'll show me all the price fluctuations up and
Nice.
down
Oh, that's
over a period of time, so I can
I'm
see.
checking
Oh,
this
look,
out.
the price has always been 300. They've jacked it up to 400.
Yeah,
Now
wow.
brought it down to 300, like allegedly what Coles and Woolies are doing, right? and then saying that I'm saving $100.
You're in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
So there's all these tools that you
Yeah.
can use. Like even with Microsoft now, if you're not using Chrome or if you're using Chrome or Edge, there's add-ons that the coupons pop up
Oh, it's
automatically.
like honey and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
free delivery, 10% off, signing up to the mailing list, get 10%, 15% off.
Yeah, I
there's
think-
some great
heaps of
tips.
different
we use
options.
Honey, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
the online shop, like the grocery shop. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, click, find a voucher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's
Yeah.
like heaps of different websites. Shopback, Shopback you can even do at the retailer, right? So
Yes.
like at a lot of places like restaurants, if you pay with Shopback, you get 10% off, but you only get it when you go back the second time.
What was the app we used? You took me out for dumplings one day.
Oh yeah, so that's Livin. So
Livin.
so that's another discounted. So you prepay credits,
Ah.
and then you can get like 50% off at Messina. You can
We
get
should do a whole
50% off at
episode on
certain
this.
restaurants.
think we
I've
kind
got
of
so
are.
many apps that I think,
kinda
oh my
doing
god.
it.
Hopefully, one of these companies reaches out as like
Yes.
a sponsor. That'd
Especially
be mad.
Messina. We will take
Yes.
gelato for sponsorship.
Yeah,
We'll take a pro rata
And
deal.
it's so easy, right? And you're literally just saving $3 here, $4
Yeah.
here, $5 here. You can keep your coffee habit and
Yes.
still save.
Yes.
How is that
Yes.
second Ferrari going? You're like going to be.
A work in progress as well.
Is there a
Yeah.
EV Ferrari at all, or is it still? There's no.
No, there should
No,
be
electric
surely.
No,
Ferrari.
there's
There's
the
hybrids, but-
Tesla Sportster.
Nah, not interested.
Oh, the Roadster.
Yeah. Oh, the Roadster.
Roadster,
Yeah,
yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
Ferrari, but think probably-
Tesla.
We tag all these brands that we're
Yeah.
really interesting, guys. Well, what I want to sort of highlight as well, like I think there's certainly some good savings opportunities out there, but I have no doubt that again, media, brands, TikTok, it's like how do we get people to spend? How do we use this? We know that people are spending emotionally, right? So they're gonna grab that, like they're gonna buy something to make them feel good right now. How do we do that? How do we keep them from saving? I feel like they're keeping us from saving, right?
Yes.
So I want to look at, and I feel like, Paige, you're here from a Composite Street perspective where we ask people, how old are you, how much you have in savings? What we find is a lot of the people that we're interviewing on the streets of Sydney is that no matter how much savings they have, they feel like their goals or their property, a lot of the times it's property goals, right? Property's out of reach. So we hear things like, oh, I can't buy right now. Or hopefully I'll buy in a few years' time. They don't think it's possible. So we're going to look at a couple of videos from Composite Street today. And we're going to look at how old some people are, how much they have in savings. And I want to break down, Jason, with you, like, is there an opportunity, like what could they do to actually buy a property? Is it possible for them? And what would they have to do to achieve that? And then Sav, this is where the brought to you by Composite part comes in. Obviously, Composite's an opportunity to help these people buy as well. So Customer Champion, I want you to have a look at maybe some examples of a specific property that's available with Composite.
Yeah.
Not financial advice, but where someone with a certain amount of savings could potentially buy.
Spoiler alert, it's possible.
Spoiler alert, it's possible. Or we wouldn't be doing this episode. So, Paige, let's hit it. The first person we're speaking to, well, I'm not going to tell you how old and how much
No,
in
let it-
savings.
don't spoil
Let
it.
them tell you. I'm not going
Don't
to spoil
spoil it.
everything, Sav, okay?
Good idea.
Hit it, Paige.
Of course, when I'm on here, it doesn't work.
He's hopeless, this guy.
So now can
It's this
now you can
area that
relate
just
to
doesn't
Michael.
work.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be,
Yeah.
if I'm ever here again, I'll be in that seat.
Now you
and then-
understand. Yeah. It's not that easy.
It's not easy
It's
being
not
me,
him.
guys.
It's not him.
You can't have the notes, talk,
Yeah.
be funny,
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
It's tough.
How old are you?
Oh, the
How much
Ferrari.
do you have in savings?
I'm 23 and I have 30k in savings.
Decent.
That's great.
Very decent.
She's happy about it.
a lot. I worked a lot. No. I like saved up a lot.
How long have you been saving for?
Since 2022. I mainly put it aside more so for travel and exchange, but I was like very budgety when I was traveling, so still have quite a bit of surplus.
What's your goals for the next 3 years then?
Just head down, working, starting to look into investing a bit more. Right now, I only have investments in blue chip stock. I don't know too much
is
about
that?
the market.
So many people.
And potentially looking into property maybe a couple of years down the track.
I still feel like you're miles ahead of where I was at 23. We're actually from Coposit, helping people.
How
get
good,
into
right?
property
So,
for $10,000.
23-year-old,
Wow.
30k in savings.
And still eating out, right?
Still-
Like she
still-
had a
bought her
lunch.
Yeah.
Yes.
But look, she might be
Yeah.
doing that once a week. Who knows?
Yes.
But
Yeah,
she
yeah.
travelled,
Yeah.
saved to travel, still had
Yes.
surplus. I reckon
my
that's rare
goodness.
as well.
Amazing.
Imagine travelling and coming back with,
With
money that you
money.
didn't spend. Like,
Yes.
that's insane as well. But you heard it in there, right? Property. Like property. Not really on the radar. I know I have to buy property eventually. I got to live somewhere. I know it's a smart thing to do. This is Australia where everyone has to buy property, whatever. 23-year-old, 30k in savings. Can it be done, Jace?
Pretty hard, but yeah, it can. It just means that the budget was going to be pretty low.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on what you're wanting to do. Look, it is possible. So I did some calculations, say on the average income of a 23-year-old, some stats provided by PJ, you're on about $62,000 a year before tax. You got 30k savings. Your borrowing capacity is around 335 grand.
Yep.
That's assuming you've got no HEX, right? Which
Which she might, because she said she's been working since 2022.
could be.
2 years.
So if you
Should have been
combine
21.
everything together, your purchase budget roughly about 365 grand. You can get a 1-bedroom unit, for example,
Really?
in the suburbs.
yeah,
wow. I actually did one like a property on TikTok. I think for a unit in Lidcombe, and it was around that price. It's like a 60, 70 square meter 1-bedroom unit.
Oh wow.
So
that's pretty decent.
so they do exist, but then it just comes down to I don't want to buy a 1-bedroom unit. I don't want to live in this suburb and this and that. And what you could actually do is take advantage of all the government benefits, which means if you're buying at that price point, you're not paying stamp duty.
Yep.
Right.
First
so,
time buy grant?
Yeah. So unless you're buying brand new, you're not going to get the 10 grand from the government.
Okay.
Right. So likely you're buying established. You could buy with a 5% deposit. Right. So without paying any mortgage insurance with the first home guarantee.
So which 30 grand on 350
yeah.
would be more than enough for the
Correct.
5%.
So it's pretty good. And let's say, for example, you live in it for 12 months, that's the requirement, or even a little bit longer, and then turn that into an investment property and move back home. Those are the sort of strategies. The repayment's about 2 grand a month, principal and interest. So not too heavy, but it is still challenging for a single person though.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
But that's interesting though, because I think like you hear that borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
That's what are you going to find for that?
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing. People don't talk about those options of where it actually is possible.
You probably can, and obviously outside of Sydney, if you're prepared to look outside, there'd be opportunities as well. Depends if it's an investment scenario or what have you. There's another possibility, Sav.
Yes,
Plug
definitely.
Coposit.
I suppose, yeah, with Coposit, look, with her 30k in savings, I definitely think that there's some opportunities on Coposit to utilize. That's actually a project called Monday in Edmondson Park. And with this project, you can start with 10k and then pay the rest off over a weekly installment. So to look at this, the 61 weeks, you'll be looking at about $337 per week. And that gets you one better for about $610,000. The only thing that I think will be an issue is borrowing capacity. So obviously, if you've got the
that's right.
61 weeks, she does have time on her side here, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I think with the borrowing capacity, I think people need to understand at the moment, even the government's Senate committee is actually looking at how borrowing capacity and how stringent or strict the lending regulations are that's pricing people out of the market because of borrowing capacity. So like ANZ gave feedback, it's as if that you have to be wealthy to be able to get a loan now.
Yeah.
Right, to buy property, right? So that that further keeps people who are not on a big income away from being able to purchase a property, not just because of the purchase price, but their inability to actually get credit.
So
Right.
things
Yeah.
could change, right? And you don't
Yeah.
want to gamble on those things changing, but you would say, so say this project in at Edmondson, right?
Yeah.
61 weeks of construction time. You've got time to save up that
Yeah.
that full 5 or 10%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And in that 61 weeks, let's say maybe there's a pay rise in there, maybe there's a whole
So you got
bunch of things
time,
that could
yeah.
happen. There's time to sort of plan around
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
locking in today's price, getting in over time. We obviously we could talk about the benefits of Coposit all day, but I encourage our viewers
Find
and
a
our listeners
partner.
to maybe find a
To
partner.
get that borrowing capacity
Maybe
up.
start on Tinder and then jump over to Coposit once you have a
Exactly.
partner.
Yes.
All right, let's look at another scenario. So we've got, again, I won't spoil it. Peach, let's hit the next
Let's
scenario.
roll it.
This person is a little bit older and has a lot more money, I would say.
How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
I'm 31 and I have about 100 grand.
Cool. How did you save up that money?
Damn, girl.
Just
Go.
working. Yeah, working.
So she made that bread roll from home.
And what is it that you do?
I work at
Yes.
a law firm as the operations manager.
Amazing. And so do you want to purchase property?
I do. Getting investment property this year is one of my goals.
And do you feel like it's within reach or it's like really hard?
Within Sydney,
That laugh,
no.
yes.
Just
She
pain.
knows.
Just pain.
But I would say in Sydney and Melbourne probably not. So I'm looking more at the suburbs of Queensland.
That's not a homemade bread roll, by the way.
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah,
making
yeah. All right, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not a Ranieri.
Yeah,
spinning
maybe
wheel.
that's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
Still
Looks like a
live at
banh
home
mi
where
to
they
me.
Can, are renting.
You know
at
your banh mi.
ridiculous prices. I know a lot of my friends want to get into purchasing property but haven't been able to do so.
Well, look, we work for a brand called Coposit.
Okay, let's cut it there. This is all an ad for Coposit. We don't need the ad. But so 31 years old, 100K
Yeah.
in savings,
That's
like
so
Yeah.
solid
good.
job. Operations in a law firm. She's in Sydney.
Yeah.
Looking to invest at some stage this year, but she said, "Oh, Sydney, not possible." Sav, take it away.
Yes, so she's looking to invest. So we were looking at it like a desirable location to purchase. So we've got a project in St. Leonard's, the Collective at Shinson, with her, 100K in savings. There's a few things that I kind of wanted to backtrack before we look at this. So legal operations manager in Sydney,
Yep.
average income of about 140K a year. So she's on decent money. So she's in a really good position. An average of a single 31-year-old in Sydney is about $950 per week in outgoings, which would leave her with about the same amount to actually save or spend
She'd
on
have
property.
so she'd have $950 per week
yes,
surplus.
Yes, which is
Interesting.
an amazing,
That's
like
fantastic.
that on top of the 100K. So she's in a really good position. So she'd be looking at about, $700 per week, which is well within the budget. That's for 91 weeks. So she's got nearly 2 years to get there.
I love it, Sav. And of course, plenty of opportunities on Coposit. This show is brought to you by Coposit. So
Yes.
we encourage you to download the app or go to coposit.com.au. Check out what else is available. Jason, if you don't want to buy new or you want to get into something now, you need to move in tomorrow. Is it possible? 100K savings, 31-year-old. What options are there?
Yeah, so look, if we're looking at the average income of someone, say, in their 30s or 31, you're looking at about $80,000 before tax, right? So it's very different to the 140K.
Yeah,
based
that's
on
for this
the
particular job.
the average
Yeah.
of an occupation.
Yeah.
Your buying capacity is only about 410,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's actually the issue at the moment. So previously, before the rates have gone up, deposit was a big issue. So that's why when the government came out with that 5% deposit for first home buyers, it really took off, right? There wasn't enough spots available based on what was released every financial year, and people were on waiting lists. At the moment, plenty of spots available. No one's on the waiting list.
Yeah.
Right? Because even with that assistance on the deposit side, people can't get the buying capacity they need to borrow the 90% or the 95% and so forth.
And make
Because
those
as you can see, as a
repayments,
single
yeah,
person
those
on
bond
80,000, like it's not a bad salary, but you can only borrow $410,000, right? So with your deposit, you're looking at a 510 purchase price. Right, so
Yeah.
not that much different to someone earning, say, 62 grand. Yes, that's the 365K purchase price, but yeah, it's not as if, I'm earning 80 grand and I got
That's
100K.
nearly 10 years
I
later.
can-
Wow.
Yeah, I can go and buy something for 800
Not
grand.
tough, man.
So that's
Honestly.
what they're
Yeah.
looking at that's
Yeah.
the problem because
Yeah.
of how strict the lending criteria is, and that the government or the regulator is asking banks to assess people's borrowing capacity based on if rates were to increase by 3%.
Yeah.
So the cash rate is 4.35. So they're saying assess these people if the cash rate was 7.35%.
Yeah.
So people are having to demonstrate they can afford a loan based on not the actual interest rate of, say, 6.1% on your home loan, but 9.1%.
So what are they suggesting
goodness.
then that changes to, Jace? Or
That
has
they
it
bring down the buffer
to?
something lower, so 2.5%, 2%,
Yeah.
right? Because it used to be 2.5%. Right, prior to the rates going up, or they just think that there's too much regulation or too strict from APRA's perspective, which is the regulator of this sort of stuff, on the banks. So it's not actually the banks making these rules up, right? It's the banks following the rules.
Yeah.
The
Which is
banks
rare.
would love
I'm joking.
would love to lend out more money.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the challenge at the moment, and that's where you get stories like, I can afford my rent, and I've been paying rent for 10 years of $3,500, but I can't get a mortgage where the
Yeah.
repayment is $3,500.
Highlights again how hard it is for single people or
Oh,
a
for
single
sure.
person
For
to
sure.
purchase. Like
Yeah,
again,
really
if
hard.
I don't know if she had a ring, or you don't know what her situation is,
Yeah.
right? But two people, say you double it, it's about $1 million all of a sudden.
Yeah,
So that's then possible.
it's pretty much accurate.
Yeah.
So we need to start like a co-posit dating app or
So
something.
you got to
Yeah.
start with a
Like,
dating.
I feel like that's the start of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm telling you, co-Tinder,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, if you do find a partner,
Yep.
just got to make sure they don't bring too many debts to the equation. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So when you're on
Screening.
the date,
That's
just
a date.
ask them for their assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
That's
before
one of the
you
things
make
they have
it.
to fill out on their profile.
yeah.
How
Just
much
be like,
debt
hey,
do you
A
have?
financial dating
yeah,
app.
yeah.
I love it.
my first question would be, hey, that lipstick you're wearing, like, was it $5 or $60?
I know $50.
Is that from Mecca? Ooh.
I love getting the
Let's
joke
see.
from the start and bringing it right to the end. So I think that's
Well
a perfect
done.
place to end this episode, guys.
I still have something to say, but all good.
No, look, save it for no. Why would we not end on the high of the $60 lipstick? But yeah, I'm Michael Carboni. You can call me Carbs. I don't ever said that at the start. This has been Property Now. Thanks for joining us again, guys, and we'll
This
see you
was
again
fun.
next week.
Thanks, everybody.
This is great.
The Property Now podcast offers opinions on Australian property news for informational and entertainment purposes only, and they are general in nature. It does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. It does not constitute professional advice. Always seek expert guidance before making any property-related decisions.